allowed to do fence unless it's either dark or snowing. And right now it's snowed and it's about to be dark, so.
At first I thought you were serious, and I was like, where did you read that law?
These are the timeless T-posts. I don't know if you can see. Well, here, let's make it look like a T.
T.
And that's a T. Pre-drilled holes for high tensile wire. I don't know if you can see the holes or not. And then the cool thing about these is they're supposed to be buried at 18 inches. And there's a line there that says bury post to line.
How handy.
So this is a 5.5 foot tall, so it'll be a 4 foot whenever we put it in 18 inches. 1 3/4 T-post. So what I have in order to, it would be great if we could just pound these in with a post driver.
Sure.
But our dirt is, as we've said before, it's not going to let us do that. So what we have to do is have a generator out here.
That's our old school generator that came all the way from Georgia.
Right, this is a
from New Hope Farm.
Generator right here.
It's a classic, vintage.
Yeah. So
that's scary.
This is an SDS Max hammer drill with a 1.5 inch masonry bit. So I have to have this in order to plow through some of the rock that's in the ground. So anyways, 1.5 inches, and it's a 1 3/4 inch T-post. So there is some interference whenever we pound them in. So what we're gonna do is crank up the generator, drill a hole about 17.5 inches down, and then we'll pound a post in. First hole. You can see, put it in to, I'll probably need to give it one more shot, but there's a line right there. And then I have, it's kind of hard to see here, but I have a line here that I've staked in with T-posts in order to show where I'm supposed to be. And I'm always on this side of the line, and I have the bottom part of the T facing this way. None of these go in perfectly straight. As you can see, the T is kind of slightly off a little bit, but it'll run through the holes. The problem with having the rocks in the ground is if it hits a rock up at the top, as soon as it hits it, it'll twist, you know, to the path of least resistance. Only about 60 more of these to do before I finish the winter pasture. Can't you tell I'm ready? This is for the winter pasture. So if you look over here on this other side, maybe I can zoom in a little bit. You can see that I've already got those up. And who of you, by being worried, can add a single hour to his life? This is Jesus' words in Matthew chapter 6. He speaks when he tells us about we don't have to be anxious because he provides us with all things. I'll tell you, when the days are short and when I'm behind on my projects, sometimes I get a little bit anxious and I get a little bit frustrated. And I'd like to add an extra hour to the day just so I can get more things done. But being anxious and frustrated doesn't solve any problems. Remembering that the Lord provides is what helps me. And even though sometimes a deer runs through the fence and knocks it down and your guardian dog gets out, that's okay. We easily got her back in. I got back to my job. I realized that God has blessed me with the opportunity to work with my hands and to spend time with my family. If the Lord wills, I'll wake up tomorrow and have a plan of what I'm going to do and put my hand to the work. And my desire will be to do it in a way that's pleasing to Him and realize that what He allows me to do, I can accept. And at the end of the day, I'll sit down with my family and eat a good meal. And that night we'll go to sleep and we'll rest well. And the next day, wake up and serve the Lord with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. So, I have run almost all of the wire. Actually, I have run all of the wire, the high tensile wire on the fencing. And I have these big gaps in here because, of course, you have to be able to get in and out of the fence. I could use your standard cattle gate or your standard steel mesh gate. Typically the ones for goats and sheep have a much finer mesh in them. And that would probably work. And then I would bury an electric line starting here, there, and then come back up and connect it on the other side. I can do that. And maybe I should do that. And in the future, I might end up doing that if this doesn't work out. But I want the gates to also be electrified. I want electricity going through them. Anyway, so to have electricity going through this, I can't just do one of those mesh gates. This is less about the goats getting out. I don't want the goats to get out, but it's more about the dog getting out. So the lowest line being energized keeps the dog from digging under. On the flip side, it also keeps coyotes from digging under on the outside, because as soon as they try to get down and they try and dig, if there's an energized line that's close to the ground and they hit that, boom, they get shocked, they run back the opposite direction. Same thing with the, our livestock guardian dog, Zipporah. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna make some homemade gates. And I've seen other people do it similar to this, or at least I've seen pictures of it anyways. But what I did was, I got some, it's polywire. It's a twisted polywire, and I think it has maybe 6 conductors in it. So more than the netting actually has in it, and I was a little bit surprised. I just got this stuff at Tractor Supply because it was kind of last minute. And then what I am doing is, on the ends of each one of these, I have made a little loop at the end so that I can hook one of these up. These are spring-loaded to put tension onto the fence, and they also pass electricity through them. So my fence is actually going to be energized by running through the gates themselves. That may also be a terrible idea. It's a pretty inexpensive attempt if it doesn't work out. And really there's not that much work in it either. I am doing one extra thing because I have 6 of these on each one. And you can imagine taking 6 of them off and then bundling 6 of them together and laying them off to the side is a little bit, well, it seems annoying to me. And so instead of doing that, I'm taking some of the timless T-posts that I have one laying over here, and actually cut a little bit off of this end, the end that's on the bottom. And I'm going to run these through the holes just like I would on a regular T-post, but then let this run all the way to the end where the hook is. So once I put it together, once I disconnect all the hooks, I can just grab this post and swing it open like a gate. And then I'm hoping, I don't have any PVC right now, but I'm hoping to bury a little bit of PVC in the ground so I can swing it out and then just set it down in the ground, and it'll be like an open gate. And then pick it up, swing it around, connect the hooks, and be good to go there. So it's a cheap gate. I think maybe each gate ought to cost me, let's see, $15 or so. plus my time, and then I don't have to sink any additional things into the ground. I don't have to put any wood posts in, and the gate will be electric. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna hook my first one in here. The other thing that I'm doing is, I may change this in the future as well, but my electricity is gonna run this direction. So what I should be able to do is whenever I disconnect this, this will no longer be hot. So as I disconnect the gate and I take the gate off, I don't have to worry about, well, I'm gonna get shocked by the poly wire as I do that. So the problem is that will also take the rest of the fence down whenever I disconnect it, but I'll just turn around and connect it right back up, and then the rest of the fence should be energized. Should be energized. We'll see how it goes. So the other thing that I did is, I don't know if you can see right here, but I dug a little hole in the ground so that this T-post will actually have a place to sit. I can just kind of drop it down in there and it'll stay in place, and then I can connect all the hooks. So while I'm putting all this together, I'm going to let it sit in that hole. So let's stick this on. We'll run this wire through, and I measured the height that I needed to cut this to, and it's probably not perfect just because I dug a hole in the ground, but anyways. All right, and then I'm going to pull it this way, and then I'm going to tension it. So when I tie it on the other side, I'm going to actually pull some tension in it so that spring is tensioning there, and then I'm going to tie it onto the other side. Okay, so that is tied off. We got decent tension on the wire here, and then if I want to disconnect it, I just pull the spring and disconnect. Let's see if the gate works. Gate's open. Gate's closed. That's not too hard. And I've got one more gate to do, and then I could energize the fence and see what it looks like. Cora wants to be friends with the new goats, but they keep headbutting her. But I do think that adding the new goats in has made her more attached to the goats overall. She spent a little bit more time with them, even during the day. She stays closer to them. So I think that's a good thing. She's watching them right now. They're all eating some hay and some grass, some bits of alfalfa that I threw out earlier.